You should write a check. Just bring me a gift card to some place where we're going to buy groceries, okay? Target, Walmart, Publix, whatever, okay? So you got a little gift card like this. You're going to get your gift card and you're going to put it in the offering basket. Now, if you want giving credit for that, put it in a tithe envelope, put your name on it, and stick it in the basket. You need gift cards. Imagine if 50 of us gave $20. That's $1,000 in groceries to give away. That'd be huge, okay? Why should we do it? Because it says we're supposed to. Not because we choose to, want to, it's because we're supposed to, so we choose to respond. Okay? So do that over the next couple of weeks. Just stick them in the offering basket, and we'll make sure they get to people. You see, a loving father, which is who God is, cannot sit around and watch his kids destroy themselves. When you see your child doing something they're not supposed to, you stand there and go, oh, okay, have at it. My son helped me change a light bulb the other day. I forgot it was turned on. It's the first time he's ever been zapped. And he jumped higher than I ever seen him jump. Now next time, I'll remember to turn the light switch off. But I had to do something. I can't do it again. I can't let him hurt himself again. And sometimes what happens is kids get themselves in trouble and parents intervene, and the kid thinks the parents are being mean. We're not. We're just trying to save your life. Because I don't know how you tell you this other than been there, done that, survived it. Okay? We've all been adolescents and we made it, okay? But a loving father's got to do something to help. Classic example, our bass player, who's usually here, Mike, he comes here every week from Vero Beach. Okay, Mike is 17, senior in high school. On the way here today, was in a car wreck. Okay? He's fine, but he slid into the back of a person on I-95. Mike's fine, his truck is not fine. Okay? Now, I originally met Mike and his family a couple of years ago over at Vero Beach. I called Mike's dad, Dan, and he said, Mike's fine, he got there. Okay, while I'm talking to Dan, I said, well, once you get to Mike, have Mike call me and let me know he's okay. While I'm waiting for Mike to call me, Donnie Camacho, who sometimes plays drums for us from Vero Beach, he calls me and says, I have a coworker who's having some issues and needs a ride. He's down at 192 and I-4. Can you help me out? I'm like, dude, it's 10 to 9. I have really important things to do at 9 o'clock, like first service. I am so sorry, I can't help you out. That's not what I did. I said, Donnie, I can't help you. So I called a friend of mine who pastors the church down in Celebration. And that guy hooked that guy up to go get him taken care of. How? Why? Because that's how the kingdom functions. When you see a need, you got to do something to help. Now, I can't drive to I-4 and 192 to help you out, but I can find somebody who can. Okay, so that's how the kingdom works. Here's a need, you've got to respond. And you just do your part. If somebody walks up and says, I need $1,000 and you have 20, you can't give 1,000, but you can give 20. Okay, my point is, there's always something that we can do. Always something that we can do. And God, seeing his kids in need, took an incredible risk. God up in the heavens, sitting up there on his big throne, looked down at our mess, called earth, and goes, you know what? I got a plan. I think I'm going to go take that. This was like a military invasion of what Jesus did. It was risky. And we read last week how people didn't get it when we finally showed up. Last point. Jesus came for one reason. That was to demonstrate the kingdom. Remember when we were going through our Sermon on the Mount series from last summer, Jesus over and over said, this is what you've heard, this is the truth. You have heard it said that the kingdom is this. I'm here to tell you the truth, the kingdom is more like that. And what it is that people got confused. The whole half of the book, the Old Testament, is all about how God created man and man broke God's heart and man was trying to figure out how to get back to God and God kept trying to tell them and they never could quite grasp it. So God decided to show up and say, this is how you do it. Okay? This was huge, huge risk on God's part. And no matter where you're at in Christmas season, no matter where you're at, whether you're a believer of Jesus or you're a follower of Jesus or if you're not, sooner or later, if you're going to talk about Christmas, it all gets around to him. Because that's what this is ultimately about. It's about recognition of the birth of a guy named Jesus Christ. That's why we have a holiday. And you could go down to Target and ask 100 people who walk in there, what's your favorite part of Christmas? The angels. What's your favorite part of Christmas? The cookies. What's your favorite part of Christmas? Sooner or later, you got to get around to Jesus because that's what Christmas is about, right? Eventually, it's all coming down to Jesus. Why? Because Jesus created all things and he is in all things. That's why. Sooner or later it comes to Jesus. So here we are back in John 1. Jesus was in the culture, and though the culture was made through him, the culture didn't recognize him. This dude showed up in his own neighborhood, and nobody recognized him. Nope, you're not the guy. That's not the one we're looking for. We're looking for somebody who's a lot bigger than you, a lot tougher than you, that got a different agenda than you. We're not looking for a baby. Are you kidding me? That was their thought. And it even says, he came to that which was his own. He owned it. It was all his anyway when he got here. And they still didn't receive it. Do you realize what that would be like? That's like Donald Trump showing up at the Trump Tower to go, hi, I'm here. We go, we don't know you. That's nuts. But that's what happened to Jesus. That's why it was a risk. And Jesus came to demonstrate, not to teach. He came to demonstrate kingdom life. Now, how many of you are really good at learning things by reading them? Anybody? You could read it and then go do it, right? Like you could go read about how to fix your car and then you could fix your car. Right? Probably not. I think I would be really, really thankful for the guy or gal that knows how to do heart surgery, that they didn't learn it out of a book. I would be much more comfortable with somebody who's seen it done and has done it a couple of times while somebody was watching over their shoulder. Wouldn't you? Because we learn by watching, even more than just by hearing or just by reading. We learn by watching. That's why your kids mimic you. They're copying you because they see. Monkey see, monkey do. Jesus came, it says, and put on flesh, and he made his dwelling among us. That doesn't just mean that he lived in, down the block. To this day, the Spirit of God lives in us. We talked about this last week. You are the temple of the Holy Spirit. So Jesus makes this temple among us. Why? Because he owns us. This is his kingdom. This is his kingdom. Christmas doesn't exist because of Jesus. Christmas exists because of you and me. We call it Christmas because of Jesus, but the reason there is Christmas is because we needed a Christmas. We needed the arrival of the Messiah. It's not this wonderful, sweet, beautiful, perfect story that we've made it out to be. How many of you have a nativity scene at your house? Raise your hand. We have a beautiful one that somebody gave us for our wedding, as a wedding gift. It's beautiful. And our kids get it out every year. And when they were little, we tell the story and we put the little guy where to go. It's such a cute little perfect story. Listen, Jesus wasn't born at Winnie Palmer. He was born in the barn, the 4-H barn at the state fair. It was nasty. It was nasty. There were no drugs. There were no nice little soft blankets. There was no emergency medicine. There were no experts. You got a couple of teenagers and a feeding trough and some strips of cloth that they're going to lay the Messiah in. Are you kidding? Could you not at least, go to a Holiday Inn Express so you could be an expert the next day? Listen, this wasn't this beautiful, seamless, perfect story. Listen, ladies, 9 months pregnant, journeying across the country, probably walking. That part of the story is just not good. Listen, we got this idea that Jesus just showed up and it was like, oh, it wasn't like that. Did you read the story this week about the kid that was born on the plane? Somebody flying, I think, from Chicago to Salt Lake City, and somewhere along the way, we're going to have a baby? What, are you in the exit row? What, 32-4? And all of a sudden, what? There's a child? They're trying to decide where they were so they know what state he was born in? Hello? You were born in Northwest. That's where you were born. What do you do with that? Jesus' thing was chaotic. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. But we've got this nice little pretty package that, quite honestly, we want it to be. But that wasn't God's story. That's not how it happened. Christmas was the beginning of the payment for my sin. If there was no Christmas, you could not have Easter. There had to be a birth so there could be a death. Well, there had to be a death, and that meant there had to be a birth. And that birth was not because Jesus needed something to do. It's because I needed Jesus to do something. I needed him to come to earth and intervene